Hey everyone, this is Max and MaxCTCG. Thanks for joining me in another video. So we're going over another Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization article. I have the link to that in the description below. We have Eldlich Tactical Try Deck Decklist, OCG. So this will be pretty cool. Another kind of tactical deck we're seeing released in the OCG. We've seen Cyber Dragons, Evil Twin, kind of sprite mashup deck, and then we've also seen now the Eldlich deck. So overall, before we jump into the deck, I do like that there's been more of a kind of balancing act between the three different decks. You have Cyber Dragon, which is more of a going second kind of OTK deck, but still some things you can do going first. You have the kind of Evil Twin deck, which is more of a kind of one card combo mid-range deck that kind of recycles itself, along with some sprite cards for support there, which is pretty cool. It's a little bit more of a mid-rangey deck, and then we have more of the Eldlich deck, which is more of a kind of control-y stun deck that we're kind of see played here. So I think it's cool that they're kind of giving a mixture of decks you can choose from that kind of all have their own play style and look and everything. I think that's pretty cool. Alright, so there's no new cards in this set, and this will come out June 8th, 2024 as well. So, and again, the price is 11,000 yen, which is about 799 R, kind of in our money, but we'll kind of have to see, do we even get these and what will they be worth in the TCG. So for the main deck, we have 40 cards. We have 3 Eldlich the Golden Lord, 1 Doom King Balderok, 1 Necro World Banshee, 2 Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. And then for spells, we have 2 Cursed Elfland, 3 Elixir of Black Awakening, 1 Elixir of White Destiny, 1 Zombie World, 2 Pot of Extravagance, 1 Pot of Prosperity, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Foolish Burial Goods, 1 Lightning Storm, and 1 Cosmic Cyclone. For traps, which is where we have a lot of our support here, we have 3 Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine, 3 Conquistador of the Golden Land, 2 Huaquero of the Golden Land, 1 Golden Land Forever, 1 Solemn Judgment, 1 Skill Drain, 1 Rivalry of Warlords, 1 Goza Match, 1 There Could Be Only 1 Dogmatic of Punishment, 2 Torrential Tribute, and 2 Infinite Permanents. And then for the extra deck, we have 10 cards. We have Elder Entity Entis, 1 Gorilla Wing of Resonant Life, 1 Constellar Pleiades, 1 Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, number 81 Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Super Dora, 1 Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Juggernaut Lieb, 1 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 Link Spider, 1 Vampire Sucker, and 1 Nightmare Phoenix. So overall, a pretty good lineup for this deck. We'll talk about some things I like, things I don't like with the deck, and we'll jump to the deck visual I built in Edo Pro, and then we'll also talk about kind of the pricing of the deck in the TCG now and talk about the price value we're getting for this. All right, so we have the deck in front of us here. This is a visual kind of component of everything that's on the screen. Built in Edo Pro, and I have links where you can download different simulators below if you're curious about using any of these. I just like this one out of comfort. It's a little bit cleaner than Omega, but Omega is probably the one to go to if you want a online simulator to play against other people where there's a good pool of people, or Dueling Book if you want a manual simulator. So we have 3 Eldlich, and one thing I like is you kind of get a different taste here with this deck. Being again a more kind of stunny control deck. I'd say the Eldlich cards themselves are more of a control strategy, but then Eldlich also gravitates a lot towards floodgates. So we're seeing a big push towards a lot of the standard floodgates that are in the game. Another thing to point out is that this deck is, I think, built off OCG Banlist, which is I think why they only have the 1 Pot of Prosperity and the 2 Pot of Extravagance. I think those are just 2 limitations in their game, so that's something to consider there too. That maybe we might have some changing in card pools depending on different cards and what they want to put in and the pricing of the cards and what they could be worth. I'm not sure if Eldland is at 2, but I know in ours it's at 3. But overall, you have a very good Eldlich suite. You have a lot of the XYZs that are really nice for the deck too. You have this one, which is nice for kind of burning for game, attacking with 2 of your Golden Lords, doing a lot of damage, doing the 2000 burn. Which is really nice. You have the other level 10s that work really well in the strategy. You have Zeus, which you can go into, which is a nice kind of reprint money wise. You have some cards that go along with the Dogmatic of Punishment, which is pretty cool, and then like a generic Vampire Sucker and then Nightmare Phoenix for getting rid of back row. So overall, I think this is a solid deck. One thing I like with this is that it's a little bit cheaper, I think, than some of the others to upgrade, due to the fact that you're probably not going to be playing as many hand traps or certain other cards, which will make the deck a little bit cheaper. You don't need as big of an extra deck sweep since you already have a lot of your extra deck suite here, outside of a few cards that you can throw in. You don't have a side deck, but a lot of your side cards probably will be pretty cheap as well. So in terms of money investment moving forward, this is probably one of the cheaper ones to go for. I don't know if you'd really keep the Zombie World package in, but it is something to consider with the strategy as well. you know, considering that Zombie World I think works pretty well against Tempai, which can be pretty nice. So some different things to think about in other decks. You can also play Super Poly with Zombie World. So some different ways you can kind of go about this, upgrading it wise. So I do like that. One thing I don't like as much is because of just the type of deck it is and the way it's built, you're not getting as much reprint value wise. I think when it comes to some of the other sets, there's more generic staple cards that are really good, but overall still a really nice set, and overall I think a good deck that you could still like do decently well, at least at a local level with. I think out of all the decks when it comes to what is the most promise out of the gate, I think it's probably the Evil Twin one. I think that's kind of where I would go if I was choosing out of these three. And then I don't know, between the Cyber Dragon and this one, I'd probably go with this one before the Cyber Dragon, because I think the Cyber Dragon's good, but not like that amazing. Where I kind of like the overall core of the strategy a little bit better, even though I'm not a big fan of all these floodgates. But that's just kind of part of the game. So overall, pretty solid deck. And what we can do is we'll look at the pricing now, and I'll kind of show how I'm calculating that. So for pricing, I'm actually using Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Under decks, they have a deck builder. You can go here and just kind of import your YDK file, which is what I did. I just imported the Eldlich Tactical Try Deck that I built. And you can see the deck here and the pricing, and they'll kind of give you an idea of how this is looking on TCG Player versus Card Market. So that's kind of something you can look into, and they kind of break down the extra deck and the main decks and look at different sites for how much different cards might cost based off where you might be buying from. And then from here, you can go to Buy Deck, which will bring you to TCG Player. So that brought me here. The original price was a little bit more. I think it was like 180 due to the fact that it wasn't optimized properly. So whenever you load these, I always just recommend going to Optomize, making sure I just turn off keep current printings, because sometimes like it gave me a $12 Ash Blossom instead of a $3. So from there, then you just go to Optomize. It'll just kind of load up your cart here. It'll give you the different options based off what you want to buy from. So for example, like TCG Player Direct, it's only 2 packages. But you're going to be paying quite a bit more, where, you know, almost $100 more. And then if you go to verified sellers or any sellers, you can kind of get a different range. And, you know, any seller has less packages, but verified ones might have a little bit better tracking in terms of like their sellers and stuff and how good of a job they're doing. So you can go whichever one you want. And you can also refuse to even optimize. There's another option lower down. Then there you can kind of go and see through the deck. Now it's still $84, so $84 in reprint value for maybe a $10 deck is still huge. All of these are definitely a win no matter what, but this one I think is one of the cheaper of the kind of 3. When we look at the overall cards, there's not too many that are actually fetching that high of a price. I think Link Spider's a little bit up there, but not much, mostly due to the fact that it just hasn't been reprinted in a long time. And if you also remove shipping, we're at like $72. So again, we wouldn't be counting shipping when thinking about this, since we're buying it all in a pre-structured deck. But if you look at a lot of the Elixir cards and Eldlich and Golden Lands, they're all pretty cheap. None of these are very expensive. You know, the Ash Blossoms still are a little bit of money with $3 a copy due to these anniversary reprint set. You know, again, everything is still pretty cheap here. Automatic Weapon Punishment, Intis for the punishment, Golden Lord. You know, Zeus is another big one that's a little pricey, $8 for the 2021 tin, and I think we're seeing this quite a bit lower than it used to be. Keep going. One of these Conquistadors are a little bit pricier than some of the other Eldritch cards in the set. You also have Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon at a $3 card, so again a little bit more pricey of a set, and these are gold rare prints, so some people don't necessarily like these, so it might cost a little more for the non-gold rare. And then probably one of the biggest cards in this set is Garua Wings of Resonant Life. I've only had its 2 printings in the Unlimited and First Edition prints for Power of the Elements, but this will be reprinted this year, which should make it a lot cheaper. It was like a $3 card when it was printed on pre-sales, and then spiked up due to its use in like tier limits and everything, and an amazing Super Poly target. And then you look at other cards here, again, Infinite Permanence, those are about $5 a piece, so that kind of adds up. Again, another staple card you'll be using in a lot of decks, but still pretty pricey, even with how much it's been reprinted, just due to its use in the game. You know, Lightning Storm, a little bit, like $2, but those kind of add up. And then the Pot of Prosperity, this one is a still pretty expensive card for it being reprinted like it was. Now, it used to be $30, so this is a huge jump in price, but it's still like $21 dollars, 25 with tax probably, give or take, and potentially some shipping if you're buying a playset of these. So again, still a little bit of money, but then very usable in a lot of sets. But we also maybe will see this hit to 1 soon is my guess. I think maybe Decklist they'll do it, is something I'm thinking about, but overall still a huge card for consistency and really helpful. And in the TCG we have 3 of this still. And then Skill Drain, a little bit of a pricier card for a common out of the Dark Lord structure deck. And then again, most of these other cards are pretty cheap here. Nothing really grabbing any major attention when it comes to its price from what we've seen. So overall, a pretty solid set of cards. They might take out a lot of the staples if we even do get these, which kind of ruins the premise of the deck. But again, I do think a move like this would really help the game move forward, especially for newer players, having better access to what a deck should look like when they're building it, versus a lot of the structure decks that newer players think they can actually compete with. And again, there's still that argument, is this good for the game money-wise, because you're, killing the value of a lot of these cards and everything, but a lot of these have been reprinted quite a bit. And I think there's also kind of 2 ways, again, to look at pricing. I feel like Konami's been doing a little bit more of a short-term idea with things, between short printing cards, not doing as many promos. They're not doing things that are making the sets as good, which have been hurting a lot of vendors and things too. So that's kind of like a balancing act. When the set is cheap, it's good for players, but when it's cheap, it's bad for vendors. But when it's a set that has good cards, like Age of Overlord with SP and everything being over $100, that's great for vendors, but not good for players. So I think they could do a better job of making that balance, still allowing their vendors to make good money by actually making the sets good, kind of weeding out some of these cards that are useless in these sets. Play for the long game of actually being like, hey, these are good products, these are good decks, these will get more players into the game, they'll have a better chance, we can better explain how competitive Yu-Gi-Oh works, so when you walk in you're not overwhelmed, and then by getting these players in, they're going to spend more money because you have more of a player base. And I think that's the route I would like to see Konami go with a lot of their pushes for how they're kind of marketing their products and how they're trying to sell products. So I really like these. I'm glad they're happening at least in Japan, where they have a different kind of rarity model. So I don't think the pricing on these hurts them as bad as it does us. So let me know what you guys think. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.